Hello, my dears. Daniela here, and welcome to another episode of the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. We are on episode number 2, not in the entire podcast, but episode number 2 with Sara and Melissa from Sykes Lanno. They are participating in our Growth Factor program this year, and we're giving you a behind the scenes look of what goes on in this high level program where we're focusing on getting these spa owners to the next level, many of whom has a great big goal of hitting 7 or multi-7 figures. So in our first interview with Sara and Melissa, I was just kind of giving you a background on who they are, what they're about. You know, it's their first year in business. They made over 6 figures their first year, which was super exciting for a lot of you wanting to know, like, hey, how the heck did that happen? And so we actually addressed that in this episode where we're talking about the things that they did to hit 6 figures in year 1. But we're also just off of our live event. So for Growth Factor, we have 2 live events that happen every year. And this was just an absolutely incredible event. I was so happy at the connection that happened among the individuals that were there. Something that I had to do was really create space for connection because I am someone who just wants to give you so much content, but I've learned over the years that, it really is about creating space. And at this level, you're wanting to take action, right? You don't need more and more and more content. You need the tools to kind of guide you and help you take action in your business. And so it was just a really overall incredible event. I was thrilled because I was actually sick the whole week before the event. And I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Super pregnant, barely have a voice, completely congested, but luckily I got better in time and it was just, again, super, super incredible. So I'm excited to share this interview with you. I'm excited to share Sara and Melissa's journey. We're going to be having an interview with them every single month so you can really truly be a fly on the wall and see their progress and go from, their $100,000 a year, year 1, and let's see what we can do to get them, really to that next level in year 2. So without further ado, let's go ahead and play that interview. All right, Sara and Melissa, so happy to have you back on the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast.
Thank you so much. We love this. It's something to look forward to. It is.
Oh, good. It's something I look forward to too. And I think that our listeners, it's, you always want to be the fly on the wall and see what's going on. And you get to see all the pictures and the Instagram stories and whatever. But I think that giving just a real honest feedback of hey, this is that's something that I'm super passionate about is let's not just show all the shiny, awesome things, but let's show what it really takes to get to the level that you ladies are aspiring to get to. So on our first call, it was kind of pre-growth factor. We were just kind of introducing you to everybody, letting everybody get to know who you are, kind of what your business is. And we just finished the first month, not even really the first month of Growth Factor. So what's been your experience so far?
I think that our experience has been that we're, especially with the first call that we did with the planning, I think it's more of us really trying to execute things bits at a time. Melissa and I are very big, which I think we're still good at multitasking, but I think what you're developing is more okay, hone in on one thing, make it great, then start working on something as you're doing that. So I think with our first month, and especially with being at the AMS, I think it was really visualizing exactly what our goals are. Mm-hmm. And then
Yeah, I think that we have like Sara said, we have so many ideas and they just flow to us all the time. But if you have your hands in a million things, I don't think you give your absolute best to just one thing. And it's all about creating systems and having them in place so that they're duplicatable, so you don't have to do them over and over and over again. So if you just put one thing in place, you can use that over, and it doesn't have to be complicated. Like, I think business sometimes seems so overwhelming and you're just lost almost. And it's like, it doesn't have to be that complicated if you just get everything in line and then just have that to play back on.
And push play.
Yeah.
One thing I learned at the event, which I mean, I learn a heck of a lot at these events too, but I tend to use language like client acquisition, systems and processes, and that can be really scary language for a lot of people. And I remember saying to someone was like, I don't know what systems are. I'm like, are you okay with a checklist? Yeah, checklists are totally fine. I'm like, a checklist is a system. Let's call it a checklist.
Right.
I'm like, that's all it is. Like, problem solved. To get rid of that word, if that word is a scary word to you. But it's, as entrepreneurs and as passionate individuals, we're always going to have so many ideas. And that is our, like, in a way, our own worst enemy, that, because we want to act on everything. And, just getting little teeny bits ahead on so many different projects is not going to be helpful to help you reach your goals,
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Really focusing on that one thing. Awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the event, because I know I know all of us are like exhausted because it was a 3-day event. I think it was our best one yet. Personally, I felt, I love the connection that happens, but I think it's a very different experience. So this was both of your guys' second event.
Yeah.
Right? Because the AMS in August, that was actually the first time I met you, Melissa.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was just a 1-day event. And that was like way before you guys had ever joined Growth Factor or anything. So how do you feel like as business owners, just from like August to January?
Oh, wow. I would say like way more confident. I think we've always been confident in terms of our expertise as estheticians. But I would have to say, like, I feel like we can actually set a goal of what we want to do business wise. And we know that we can achieve it now, opposed to then. I think we were like, until you get through your first full year too, you don't have anything to compare it to. But I think also, meeting the people that we have, especially in August, and that was 1 day, I think I did like, even though, it's a lot of thinking and really like looking at yourself, looking at your business. But I do think the 3 days was super beneficial opposed to the 1 day. And it really made us have the ability to connect with people more. But I feel like just as business, I feel like we feel more confident.
I think so too. And I think like going into business, like we did things like on a whim. So it was like, okay, a spot became available for rent. Like, we're going to create a business, XYZ. And it's like, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But there was never a plan in place. And I think that it did cause a lot of stress and anxiety for like no reason at all, because if you do have a plan and you can focus on things one at a time, you can cross it off the list and move on to the next. So I have to say that, and we are very good at that. We are hands down.
We're great at reacting, and we're great at being like in the moment.
But it makes it so much more simplistic. And I also think that just having someone behind you, cheering you on, motivating you, educating you, there is so much to know. We are, like, I always say there should be like a book of like estheticians, like accounting for estheticians, essentially. Like
we got a little taste of that with
I loved it. I loved it so much. And I don't love numbers. Like Sara does do all of that, but just like you said, how you want to know how everything in your business runs, so that you can have an intelligent conversation. I feel the same exact way. And by being able to listen to Van, like speak in terms that we can understand and make it seem not so scary, it helped me like immensely. Like it was just so amazing. I just want to thank you also because you have all these tools in place, and the fact that you are sharing them with us, like it's that, huge. It proves that you really do want us to succeed. And you're like, I'm an open book. Like if you,
I showed you guys my calendar. That was a big deal.
I know what you're eating every single night. It's good. It's good. And you know what? I might copy that and put it on my calendar as well. But no, it's so comforting to know, like, you did the trial, the tribulation, like, you did all of that, and you're just like, here, I'm going to set you up for success because obviously, like, the industry needs it. We need it. And to have some room for everybody. And to have you behind us is amazing.
So for those who have no idea who the heck Van is.
The cutest man ever.
Yeah. Van and BJ are my accountants. So they have worked with me from the very beginning. They're with Nova Accounting. They're absolutely incredible. And something that we did on the Growth Factor VIP day was have them come in and just explain your financial statements and kind of answer some common questions, because I think that something for me that I hear a lot from estheticians, and it's even more important as you get to a higher level, is like, I see the money coming in, but then there's nothing in my bank account. You know, like, how can I have, you know, 10, 12, 15, $20,000 months and have nothing to show for it at the end of the day? I'm not even paying myself. You know, that comes down to really understanding your financial statements, understanding your numbers, understanding your cash flow, which, you know, you don't have to learn QuickBooks. You don't have to spend, you know, 6 hours a day behind the computer trying to categorize. Like, you can hire good accountants, and there are good ones out there. They're not all just like, you know, like, I don't know, like, what do they call accountants? Like bean counters or whatever, you know, like that. You know, it doesn't have to be like that. So yeah, they were awesome.
It doesn't. And it's so funny because I said to Sarah, we were eating lunch yesterday, and I'm like, how much can an accountant really talk? Like, I don't feel like they're that social. I feel like they're just like heads in a computer. And then he came in and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I love this man. He's amazing. And it doesn't have to be like that awkward relationship where you see them once, you know what I mean? So,
but he also cares. And I think that, you know, what it comes down to at the end of the day is who you expose yourself to and you interact with, just like doing this program with you and having the ability to have all these people you talk to and who you're bringing in as speakers. I think it's really about, not that everybody always has to feel good, because I think you should be challenged. But I also think that it should be that you can not feel intimidated, or it can be a thing where they're cheering you on or wanting you to do better and looking at your numbers and being like, here, do this. This would be better, because that's his expertise. I like numbers. I like spreadsheets. I like detail, but I don't want to be an accountant.
Right. Yeah, 100%. No, that was, I knew from the beginning, and that was kind of, so something I struggle with is I'm like, everything I teach is the boring, nerdy stuff. You know, I'm like, how can I make it more fun and exciting? And so when I was like, I got to bring my accountants in, I'm like, how am I going to sell this? It's like, come to my conference. We're going to get you to 7 figures. I'm bringing in my accountants. Like, that's my speaker, you know?
But I thought it was amazing how you said, and he said actually, like, form relationships. How many accountants are there? How many business coaches are there? How many reps are there? Like, in this business, in any business, it's so much more important, I feel like, and that I've learned over the past couple of days, is to have that relationship. So it's not awkward and it's easy and you enjoy business and you're not like, oh my gosh, I have to go see him, like, blah, 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 you know?
Yeah. Or you don't feel comfortable asking a question, like
Right.
I've asked Van and BJ probably some of the most ridiculous questions, but they've never once made me feel ridiculous,
Right.
because it's like, hey, I want to know this or want to know that or whatever. And I think that something that was super important with them also is they're not just giving me my financial statements for the month and doing my taxes at the end of the year. They're helping me with long-term planning.
Right.
And they're helping with like the thing with, paying your kid once they turn 7 or pay, like there's so many different tips. I think everybody just like the room went silent for a second when everyone was like, if your kid's 7, you can hire them and pay them $12,000 a year tax free, put it in a 401k and your college is paid for. It's
Right.
like,
Right.
But even those things that he's providing you, that you're providing us, you're also providing that for us too. Being in that, like there's different things, and it's like it's things that you don't even think of, or that you have people question you. And I think I like that. I don't ever want to feel comfortable all the time, because then I feel like I'm not doing anything. I would love to feel like maybe for a second, but I think it's also nice for you to question things, or for things to be like, oh, really? I didn't know that. Like I learned something new today.
Yeah, you should always be learning something new. You should always, some of the girls that were there for the AMS. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the event, there's 2 days that our Spa Retail Rockstar students can come. And then there's a VIP day for Growth Factor. And I think we're going to stick with that structure because I tend to be very content driven. Like for me, it was like took effort and energy and control to say, we're going to have a 45-minute breakfast and I'm going to do one presentation and then we're going to have lunch. Like I normally would be like 8 to 5, 8 to 6, let's pack content every hour. Let's get this in here. I got to give so much value. And that's not the best way to, you'll leave overwhelmed. You'll leave not taking action, and you already have enough information. It's like, that's why I was trying to really focus on like, let's nail out these 90-day plans and we're going to hold you accountable. Let's write out what you're going to do so that when you leave, you're not just like, wow, that was a great conference. I'm so inspired. I'm more confused now than when I came, because I have 10 million things that I could be doing,
Right. Right.
But some of the girls at the AMS, they were like, I feel like I'm in the wrong room. I feel like I'm, everybody else is so far ahead of me. And the thing is, I was like, that's exactly the right room that you want to be in.
Yeah.
Right? You never want to be the person that like everyone's coming to. You always want to be around people who are doing, I don't want to say better things than you, but just are at that next step, at that next level.
That make you, and you're putting us all in a room together for me to be like, hey, how'd you get there? What'd you do? Or like, I want to do this. What do you think? Like, it's just even, our first night we decided to stay in, but our second night that we had, we went out with everybody. And it's nice because we even still socialize even after we leave.
Right.
And that proves what connections you have. But
did you see Misty dancing
we didn't.
Okay.
But I also think like collaboration over competition
100%.
all day, every day.
Yeah.
And you, like you said, you can learn something from every single person around you. You don't know everything. And if you have that mindset that you know everything, then you're not going to be successful. You have to wish that education, that knowledge, people like that wisdom to you so that you can better grow. So I think having like a flexible mindset opposed to a fixed mindset is really beneficial. And all of those women, we're all in different seasons of our lives. Some have younger kids, some have older kids, some have no kids. Like everyone was able to come together and talk business and talk life. Like what brings you here? How did you get into the industry? What do you love about it? Like, what are your challenges? Where are your strengths? Like, it's just so, and it sets your soul on fire. Events, like, I have to say, hands down, events are everything.
Yeah.
This is a very, very individualized industry. And if you don't have that spark, you will burn out. And events are the only thing I think online community as well, I think is extremely important because it helps keep you accountable. But
the events make the online community strong because
Absolutely.
you know the people. So if it's just a Facebook group, you know someone's little icon, right? And you know what they're comfortable and willing to share to a group of people that they don't officially know. They're friends, right? But they haven't had the real connection. But when you've had those experiences together in life, in real life, in person, where you can touch and hug and laugh and cry and get tattoos together or whatever. You know, like that's something that when you are online, you feel so much safer to say, you know what, this was a shit month. And I don't know, like, sorry guys, on the podcast, this baby makes me nervous. I'm like, I don't know where this is coming from, but this was a crap month. And, you know, like, how can you guys help me? How can you, instead of just showing all the highlights, you know, because.
And I feel like you're not as vulnerable when you make those connections. Like you feel that you can put yourself out there. And
even the hot seats. I mean, I would do a whole day of that, by the way. But like, I like that. I wouldn't do that online on the online community. I wouldn't feel okay doing that. I mean, like, yeah, this is what I got going on. But when you have people sitting there and then like we're all giving our input, it's actually making a huge impact. I mean, if every single person got a chance to sit in the seat and do that and everybody do, like, I mean, that's why we come partly, but we also come because of what you're offering and the speakers and the in-person connection.
And to get your hair regimen down, of course.
Oh yeah. That was fun.
That's important too. He has the most amazing hair.
Oh, you know, Shannon, who's the sugar mama. I don't know if you guys ever have heard of her, but she teaches sugaring. We were at a conference in California. Like she and I were both there separately. I'd never met her in person. And she's like, Daniela, you're the Addo girl. She's like, I recognized your hair.
Oh my God.
I was like, really? I was like,
oh my God.
That my hair was a thing. But apparently
your hair is a thing.
Not today, but thank you. I will take that compliment. So we've talked about connection. We talked about van. We talked about hot seats. Which, by the way, also Kate was like, this was the best part of the whole event, doing the hot seat and then getting all the love notes and all of that kind of stuff.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think that is just, I mean, if everybody had the option to do that for like the next one we go to in Growth Factor and Spa Retail Rockstar, and we all just got to sit and maybe like you timed it or something like that. But I just
would take a whole day. We would have to
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. But I'll eat while we're doing it. But like, I just think that you really gain a lot. I mean, we went there thinking we were going to do one thing and we left and we're like, nope, like completely changed.
After Amanda's hot seat, right?
Yeah.
Amanda. Yeah.
I mean, it was partly like other things were coming into place, but like, I mean, somebody else had that too, but it's like, I think it was great because I think like Melissa said, bringing it back to you think you know things and you're just reacting, but like going here really made us go, okay, we need to plan. What do we want to do? What are we gonna do? And then like everything we thought we wanted shifted.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were against hiring for how long?
Yes.
Since the last AMS, right?
Yep.
And now we're like, all right,
Right.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. And we actually feel okay. Like we don't feel like we're nervous. We are actually like, all right, we're doing this. We talked with enough people and, we're ready.
Right.
Well, and I think that's super powerful for me as well, because it's my job as a coach to kind of guide you and show you different directions. It's your job to decide what's best for your business.
Right.
I'm not going to just tell you what to do, because if I tell you what to do, then it takes it away from you, right? Like, and it's not empowering you to have the confidence to say, I built this, I'm capable of this. I'm, like, my job is to empower you, not to be like, oh, I just listened to everything Daniela said. No, you listened to what I said and what the team said and what your peers said, and you made your own best decision for what made sense in your business.
Right. And that's why this program is so different, because it's not just doing like exactly what you said. It's not us, you say this, we say go, and then we do it, and then we just see and maybe we're unhappy. It's a community, and it's interesting because I think I said it before, and I always say, like, this industry is all about connection.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you've provided that connection with other peers and with you. And I think it's like we need to bring that connection to our community that we're creating within our spa. And it's wonderful.
That's great. Okay, so besides Van and the hot seats, did you guys have any other things that were like, that's awesome, that's like, I'm super looking forward to that at the next event?
I love Danielle and Jackie. They were amazing.
Yes.
I do not love Facebook ads, but I think I learned a lot from Jackie. And even with like Instagram from Danielle, like there's little things that make a huge difference, and knowing them and implementing them, like we, as on our drive home,
I saw you girls did your highlights.
Yeah. So like we had a 4-hour drive home, and the amount of stuff that we accomplished in that 4 hours is amazing. Like I got home and I was like, I feel so good. But yeah, I mean, just, okay, highlights, all right, get it done. Like we're going on Etsy, we're doing it, we're downloading it, that's done.
And our branding, like I loved that part of it too, and actually getting input from other people, because I think it's kind of like just as a person, it's always good to hear from outside. We know what we think our brand is. We know what we want for Sykes Lanno, but hearing it from other people that exactly what we think is what people see, and then we're saying something else, and we're like, really? I think that was really empowering too, because really, if you don't have as Danielle said, like the storytelling or the branding down pat, nothing else is going to fall into place. Just like if you don't have a plan, nothing else is going to fall into place. And we got a lot done. And I think we left here feeling like, all right, that spark that you want when you start your business, being like, ooh, I have this idea and I have this and I can do this. And I feel like it kind of reignited that. We've always had that. We never stop having ideas. But I think it really sparked this, okay, this is what we're going to do now. And
events have that power. Events are just so important.
They are.
I agree completely.
So what are you looking forward to most in the next month? Like I know you got so much done in the 4-hour drive home, but like, what's your big thing that you're like, all right, this is what we're tackling this month?
So we have 3 goals for Q1. The 3 goals are to renovate our current space because we are not leaving.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some changes that need to be made in order to bring on a new hire, which is another goal of ours.
And education. So we're very big on, just as you said, there's enough for everybody, and having that source of people, like not being competitive. We really want to educate people in person and really give them a solid foundation once they leave school. School teaches you state board, how to get to your test, and then we want to teach you actually how to get that core foundation for becoming a successful esthetician, and also having somebody that you can have an in-person connection with. So that's
a mentor.
So any estheticians in New Jersey.
Yeah, we are.
Yes.
We're going to be speaking at the schools, but we're going to be opening enrollment probably within the next month or so. And it's just more of our goals are we're going to hit every single one of them for Q1. And we do. Like, absolutely. We're going to do them all.
Yeah. And it doesn't always have to be a revenue goal, I feel like.
No, I actually do better with impact goals than revenue goals, because it's, like when we started the podcast, our goal was like, how can we impact the lives of 500 estheticians?
Right.
And so we're focusing on that. And this year it's like, how can we hit 1 million downloads? But we do those things, the revenue follows. But when you focus on serving your people and really providing massive value, then the money happens. If you're only focused on money, that's when you make short-term decisions instead of long-term decisions.
Right.
And even our clients, like, we really try to give them a sense of that. We educate them. They always tell us how different it is when they come here, because you know what? I might tell you, don't come back for another month and a half until you get your home care routine situated and together, because your every day is more important. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe, you have some things and I need you to come every week, or like, it doesn't have to always be about the money. It's really, for us, it's about like impact. Like, how are we impacting our clients? How are we impacting other estheticians? And also, it's that connection again that you bring it back to. And it doesn't have to be about the money.
And I think something that is kind of an unspoken thing is also, how are you impacting your family? Because a lot of us have small kids. You guys have small kids. I don't know if they're technically small, but when do they?
They're old enough to get paid.
Yeah.
That's all that matters, right?
I think that, as a working mom, right, it's one of the things that we're doing by living our truth is impacting our kids in a positive way, and showing them, that like, there's no reason to feel guilty for working. It's like you're teaching your kid how to follow their heart, how to follow their dream by you following your heart and you following your dream.
Yeah, my son, actually, he had to do a project. He was STAR student, and he had to answer all these questions and put them in there. And one of them was, who do you admire most? And I just assumed he'd say his dad, because him and his dad are really close. And he picked me. And he said that he is really happy that I followed what I wanted to do, what made me happy. Called me a boss to his boss. But he just said that he likes that I did what I want to do that would make me happy. And I followed a career that I wanted, and that I want the same for him, and that I'm a good example to him. And I mean, that meant the world to me, because we're so in the moment of doing things, and you forget how smart and observant little ones are.
Mm-hmm.
And you always do have some of that mom guilt sometimes. But I think especially my children are, 8 and 10 now, I don't have that as much, because I know what I'm doing is what's best. But yeah, you do have to think of how what you're doing is affecting your family or impacting your family too, or friends too.
Yeah. I think we're creating a legacy for our children, and really, showing them, like Sara says, like, you can do anything your heart desires if you work hard for it. We were young moms. We kind of had, we started hard. It was a little tough. We weren't established prior to starting our business, and we struggled and we made it through.
Because we had a vision, and we believed in it. We didn't know how. And that's part of the, being the fly on the wall. It doesn't always have to be, if you believe in something enough, you can bring it. We just kept saying the what if. Well, what if there was this, and what if there was that, and what if we do this thing? And we were just like, I don't know how it's going to happen, but we're going to make it happen. And we did.
Manifest it.
We did. And it's because we wanted it enough And sometimes you're not going to have the most expensive machine, but you'll get it. Or you're not going to have, every single thing in the product line, but eventually you will. And that's really a part of where, if I had a message to anybody trying to start up a business or just being an esthetician, like, don't shortchange yourself because you have big goals. You'll get there. Just realize, just when it comes even back to planning, you can get there. Just start somewhere. Just start. Just go for it.
One step at a time. There's like a quote, and I hate this quote because I think it's weird, but how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Like, who eats elephants? I don't know, but it's like this huge, how do you tackle a huge problem? One step at a time. And so often the hardest step is the first step, right? It's giving yourself the confidence to know you're in the right room, to know that you're worthy of reaching your dreams, to know that you are capable of reaching your dreams, and
not stopping when a problem arises or you fail. I love it's just a saying, but it says fail forward. Mm-hmm. So fail over and over and over again until you succeed. Failure does not mean that you didn't make it. It just means that there was a little bump in the road and you are going to make it. And it actually teaches you something. So I think it's okay to fail,
100%. 100%.
As long as you see it and you can understand it and learn from it, it typically turns into something great.
So after our first podcast episode, we had a lot of comments of people saying, well, wait, I want to know how they did 100,000 in their first year, because that's like a big goal. And I think you guys just answered it. I think that is the answer right there, is being okay to fail and knowing to just go, and do whatever it takes to reach your dreams. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. You don't have
to launch a new idea. We decided to do, when we opened, to do the Galentine's Day. I mean, which was a totally cute idea, but it was more like, okay, well, how can we get people in the door? But how can we also create what we stand for?
Experience.
Right.
And if, maybe if we never did that event, we love doing events, and we love
your Galentine's Day that you do every year.
Yeah, we do every year. Our annual. And we do say that in our emails too. We'll be like, it was our first year, our annual. But it's okay because it's going to keep happening. But if we never tried that, we would never know how successful it was. Or maybe if we launched something else, it's just all about that trial and error. And that's really how we got to where our ideas never stop. Right.
Some things, yes, you phase out. Every business does. Literally, I'm sure that, Starbucks has drinks they don't offer anymore. Oh, Taco Bell does, because we went to Taco Bell. They didn't have chicken taquito rolls, but they phase things out. Every business phases something out. They phase products out. They phase things because you have to try it, and really the public decides. Right.
100%.
We think we're great and we're fun and stuff, and that we're good at what we do. And I'm confident to say I think that we're experts in the skincare field. But really it comes down to who decides that. The people do, just like other businesses. You don't own your clients, that competitiveness, they can go wherever they want, and they should.
Right. And if they're spending money, they should they're going to decide where they're spending it. And you have to provide. I mean, people are looking for certain things. And if you're
have to grow and evolve too, because they don't want to be having the exact same service for 20 years.
Exactly.
Right. We were just talking about that, saying how we really will appreciate our children's input too, especially our daughter's input, because there's a 20-year gap between us and our daughters. And in 20 years, there's going to be a difference in what's cool or what's fun or what's a nice experience. And it really is all about having an experience too.
Right. And you have to adapt to the ages. You
You
know,
do.
you have to, hands down, or you'll be left in the dust.
Gosh,
Yeah.
I'm going to have almost, how big is my gap going to be? I was 30, almost 36 when my daughter was born. So I'm going to be the old lady.
I was saying,
They'll be telling me what's cool.
they're already telling us what they already do.
They already do.
Yeah.
It doesn't, and it's funny because I think especially because we were young moms, we really learned, because we couldn't care what people said or what they think. It doesn't matter in terms of if it's being a mother, like how old you were when you had your kids, because you're still a mom, you're still nurturing. We're all women, and that's like just a part of us. But even as an esthetician, just because somebody's an esthetician for 15 plus years, and then there's an esthetician that's been doing it for 3 years, that doesn't mean that one's better than the other because they have more time.
No. Yeah.
So it kind of like, you know, it's really nice because even there's a gap in time when we went to school. But when I went to school, there wasn't half of the stuff that she learned when she went to school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There was a gap of time, but, you know.
Well, we only had, I think you only had microderm, right?
Oh gosh, yeah, there was only microderm.
I only had microderm and peels. Like, it was nothing. It was absolutely.
I had to ask a gal. So there's a gal that works at Dr. Petropolis's office, and she teaches at one of the schools here. And she's like Sedesco. She's like super, just knows so much stuff. And I walked in and I was like, can you please tell me what brow laminating is? I'm like, everyone's talking about this. I have no idea. Like,
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
But it's like good to ask, and then that makes them feel good. Like it's just a nice like back and forth. But you have to always ask and be again bringing it back. Like things
there's
will
so
evolve.
many trends. There's so many things. And like, I feel
Absolutely.
like I'm immersed in this industry, and I was like, what the heck is brow laminating? And what does
Right.
it mean? You know, like,
Right.
but
Right.
always changing.
It is always changing.
Always changing.
But that's good. And I think it's kind of like, even when we bring it back to the AMS, like that was 3 days, only 3 days. And it changed, like just, it shifted us and it impacted us so much. That's 3 days of our life in comparison to maybe if that could have maybe taken us 4 months or
Right.
like, it's just, there's a lot of things that can happen, or a trend can come up, or just something sparks something. And that's part of being in business. I think what we do looks very fun, and it is. I adore my job, and I love being an esthetician, and I love connecting with people and knowing when that they went here for the holidays or they went on vacation. I love that. But it's also, it looks so glamorous. But there's a lot of hard work that goes into making this look so effortless.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It's like dancing tango. You know, it's
It
like,
is.
yeah, you get up there when you first start, like the really good people, it's like, oh, heck yeah, I could do that. That looks super easy. And then you get up there and you're like, whoa, this is not what I thought it was going to be.
Right.
Good
But
people make it look very easy.
yeah, which is, it's a skill in itself. You know, when you do make it look effortless, or just like your motions, or how you carry on conversation with others, or there's so much to being an esthetician. There's so many layers.
So much emotional intelligence that's required.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah.
there is. But I would say for, you know, especially being, if people are wondering what it really takes to get to this point and keep pushing forward, I think it's really just understanding that you have to keep educating yourself and learning.
Oh,
Learn
yes.
from other people. Don't be afraid, like she said, to fail. And just really listen to what other people, like, get feedback.
Absolutely.
Getting feedback is everything. And I know that maybe makes some people insecure. But I like that. Like, I like criticism. I mean,
Right.
Constructive criticism. It's helping you grow.
Yeah,
It
and
is.
pick brains of others. Like, it doesn't matter what business they're in. I have so many friends that are entrepreneurs, and the amount of information that they can give me and ideas, like, it's amazing. And I also have to say, one thing to be super successful, which I'm working on, is not being a perfectionist and making sure that everything is perfect before I execute. My husband tells me all the time that I will get nowhere if I do not let go of that. You need to just produce, provide. Yes. Produce, provide, and if a problem does occur, deal with it when it occurs. Don't be hung up on it. So I am putting that into practice, and it's so incredibly hard. But yeah, that's being a perfectionist can definitely hold you back.
Yeah.
100%. I used to have a lot of struggle with that, but I think having kids really helped. It was just like, all right, I don't have time. This needs to get done. Let's make this decision, move on, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
My kids are 11 and I still struggle, but I used to need much work. So I guess
it's progress.
But we all have our areas too. And I think even too, like me, I'm like very, very go with the flow. But I'll have things like the menu where I'm like, I just need this letter to move over.
Yeah.
But that's like, we all have our things, but then having people, like, she'll tell me like, Sarah, it's fine. Just, it's okay. It's going to be okay. And then I tell her that stuff too. And I think that even having a partnership, which is very rare, but even us being together, we complement each other. And if you don't have like a partnership in terms of your business, having people that you're connected to just check in on you. Even people saying like, what do I do first? Like, just have somebody, even if it's not somebody in your industry, if like you just don't have
an ability buddy. Yeah.
It's so important because you know what, at the end of the day, it's just like you said before, curing cancer.
Right.
Yep.
We're just like, we're all just going with the flow, be happy, but also realize it's gonna, things are gonna come up that are gonna test your patience.
Right.
Well, I think that's a great note to end this episode on. And that was, it was such a great event. And it was such a, I was so tired today, but I was like, we've got to do this call. We've got to catch up. And it's perfect to like capture, like I told you ladies before, I was like literally asleep on the couch at 8:00 last night. But
which is great.
So worth it. So worth it. I'm so glad. Thank you for sharing your experience. I think it'll really help so many people. And we'll talk to you again next month.
Perfect. Awesome. We'll see you then.